DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
Welcome back to Atlanta. The sun is still shining and people are still playing bongos in the streets. And that lady looks chilled as. I hope on my day off after this to go and hang out on that bench. But first, we still have a lot of Counter-Strike to watch. We have lost a couple of teams, but now we are into HellRaisers versus Misfits. My name's James, and I'm joined here on the desk, as always, by Vendetta and Adren. Let's quickly get in and have a look at the groups and how we have got to the point that we are right now with elimination matches. I believe we can look at Group A first. We have just seen Misfits and Binary Dragons. No, which ones? Renegades went through to the semis. Yep. Misfits carried on through, and now we see HellRaisers versus Misfits. Sorry, now we're on Group A. And previously, we saw Group B. We just saw Godsent beat NRG 2-1, and they go up to play against Envious. So now these next two best of threes are quite important, right? Because now we lose two more teams, and these are all teams that could well make it to the grand final, right?
Yeah, at least in the case of, I think it's more so in the case of a team like HellRaisers, for instance. I'm a bit wary about Misfits making it all the way, but I do see the potential, at least in HellRaisers, to potentially either beat, well, Heroic or Renegades, at least, depending on how the bracket turns. I can actually, they would actually run into Heroic, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Because they played
so
Renegades.
They've already been playing Renegades.
Exactly.
We'll chat about that. And as we see on our screens, we have HellRaisers coming up on the left-hand side of the stage. Only 3 players in that team. Going to be difficult for them
they don't
to
need
play
more.
against a team of 5.
They've done this before. No, obviously, starting from the left, you got Zero, Stico, Angel, who's not in picture as of right now. Their in-game leader. Dead Fox, their Opera, and Bondic, one of the more experienced veterans in that side. Stico and Zero obviously being the 2 young guns. I guess you could include Dead Fox there as well in terms of experience at least. Yeah. But yeah, no, so far in this tournament we've seen very, very good matches from that guy in particular, Zero. He's been kind of like the shining light for the HellRaisers side in a big way up till this point, even though it didn't lead to victory versus Renegades. Still gave it his all in that sense. Stico yet to show the same kind of a level at this tournament at least. But as we know with younger players, they will have ups and downs and ebbs and flows, even within the span of 2 halves. So he could definitely get it going for himself. Same thing kind of goes for Dead Fox as well. We haven't necessarily seen him have that much of an impact with the op. He's not necessarily the kind of guy who goes actively out and plays an aggressive op. He's more of your angle grinder in that sense. Sits waiting, and you're not always going to end up in a situation where you can actually benefit from that, but he seems to be a reliable part of this, a reliable cog of the machinery that is HellRaisers. But what was fun to see that throughout the second day, Angel stepped up. He talked about it in his first post-game interview, the fact that he wasn't individually feeling on point, but he definitely got into it, even though, again, it didn't end with a win versus Renegades, but there's promising signs there.
And as we go over to the other side of the stage, we have Misfits. We've already seen Misfits once today. Let's have a look at that lineup and what we can expect from that team. Eric?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Misfits need to improve here if they want to beat HR is that they're going to have to have better T-sides. Their T-sides have been very flat, and I think Sean said in his interview that they're almost playing too loose to where they weren't really playing off each other and just kind of going for picks. And then Binary Dragons was actually able to, pick them off every once in a while. And
yeah,
their T-sides have been just not good enough. At least they're not going to be good enough if they play the same way against HellRaisers. Their CT sides have been bailing them out. They got 12 rounds on CT side Train, 10 rounds to finish the game on Mirage. So, and I don't think they'll be able to get those numbers against HellRaisers. And last time these guys met was in Tours. I guess that's a decent couple months ago, but yeah. HellRaisers did take that 2-0.
Yeah, and I think, if you think about the kind of, I guess, the workup to this tournament from Tours, HellRaisers have had a more stable road to travel than Misfits, obviously, because we've gone through that. They've had some roster changes that have been reverted, lost a coach in the meantime, and obviously, for a time being, lost Sean Garris as well because he had to get married.
He had to.
Yeah, well, okay, well, he chose to get married. I think that's the more correct way of putting it. But yeah, no, obviously he's not available for actually practicing as much.
Yeah, and then we saw this guy here, Shazam. We saw him go out for a couple of weeks. Well,
yeah,
what was it, 5 days or something?
I don't know. It was an extremely short time. Pretty much like the extent of the event, the America's Minor, and then he got put back into the lineup right after.
Very interesting decision from the coach there. I was like, yeah, let's remove our best player. And
yeah, it actually doesn't make a lot of sense. Especially, he is your best player. And we've seen that so far in this tournament as well. I think Shazam has been the one to kind of stand out when Misfits have been doing well for themselves. Otherwise, it's been contributions from everyone. Definitely nobody has kind of gone missing by any means, but the one stable guy really that you've been able to rely on Misfits' side has been Shazam.
So Misfits banned Cobble, which was actually their pick in the last time they played a best of 3 against them. Yeah. And HR keeping their ban the same and banning Train out for Misfits.
Yeah, no, I think Misfits are more guided towards actually banning out the strengths of HellRaisers more so than anything. And for HellRaisers, it's more about going about business as usual.
So this time, Overpass, HellRaisers always go-to pick here. Last time they played, that's what Misfits banned from them. So this time they, I'm assuming they maybe done some research this time and letting it slip through. Yeah. Or maybe they've been working on Overpass, grinding it out, and then Inferno is going to be HR's pick.
I'm actually very excited to see how Inferno plays out. I haven't been able to see that much of HellRaisers from Inferno, so it's always fun to see, I guess, new experiences and new takes on how to play that map, because it's still very much in the development stages as to how teams approach it, whether it be CT or T side. So kind of hoping to see, maybe they can try for some of their CT aggression that we see on a lot of the maps actually come into Inferno, because that hasn't necessarily been something we've seen a whole lot of on the map so far. And Nuke as a decider map. If I'm HellRaisers, I don't know if I'm okay with it, which sounds weird because obviously they had the option to choose between Mirage and Nuke to end it all, and I guess they saw, I guess some signs of worry really when they watched Misfits play Mirage in their first best of 3, but Nuke for HellRaisers has been very up and down in that sense. They have potentially great games and potentially horrible games, and oftentimes what I've found is that they get stuck in the same kind of a pattern. They love using Yard, as most teams do on that Nuke side, except with a little bit of a twist, with Angel loving to wrap around towards Heaven, like using those outer rafters the entire time. But I don't think they have too much variation as to what they do. But again, it's been a while since I've seen them play Nuke, so they might have come up with something new. They might have basically a plan B and a plan C, and that's kind of, I hope, what they're banking on if they're going to leave it in.
This is the first time we've seen Nuke this weekend, right?
Yeah, if we get to a third map.
Yeah. If we get to a third map, yeah.
But it makes sense as well, because who picks Nuke in a best of 1? That is kind of just leaving it all on. That's like putting everything on green, I feel like.
And both teams would have to not ban it in that scenario, which is like unheard of.
Exactly.
So.
But it should make for a pretty interesting best of 3. I think both teams can be pretty okay with it, because I would assume if Misfits are actually going to pick Overpass into HellRaisers, they would have had to look into what HellRaisers normally do on that map and actually like worked on it themselves to the point where they feel like they have such a good idea of what they're doing that they can counteract that.
Yeah, do you think this could be the first, well, not necessarily the first signs, but a great sign of Misfits being back as a 5 and having sort of the confidence to put together strats against a team like HellRaisers on a map like Overpass?
I guess it remains to be seen if they've actually done enough work on it, because that's going to be my biggest worry, really. But outside of that, yeah, it's good that you have the confidence to actually go into it. Whether or not it shows to be foolish of you it remains to be seen. But in the past, Sean has had extremely good success with just reading out opponents. We've seen it time and time again during that 2015 stretch where Cloud9 just got, final spots every single tournament, or 3 times in a row at least. It was off the back of him just having read their opponents like an open book, to the point where he could literally pinpoint mid-round where a player would be because of his tendencies, and obviously you benefit massively off of that. So if you've found something like that on HellRaisers, then of course they can take massive advantage of it.
And earlier, Angel, I think yesterday, spoke in his interview, and he was quite humble. He was like, you know what, most of these games that we've got coming up, we feel 50-50 about them. They weren't hyper confident. Do you think that might have changed now coming up against a team like Misfits? Do you think they'll be very confident coming into this, Eric?
I think that he said that because it was kind of a best of one.
Right.
And,
Okay.
you know, if whoever gets pistol rounds, has the momentum, it could really happen. I think in a best of 3, they're a lot more comfortable. I still think they're the favorites here to win. Unless Misfits comes out with something. Like, if I was Misfits coach right now, I would say I want to change up the pace on the T side. I think their T side really needs to have a lot more speed, but I don't know if they have the players and aggression to do that.
Yeah, that is actually a fairly good point. I mean, I guess I would say maybe 2 out of 5 kind of thrive in that kind of
Yeah,
environment.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
It's not really their
and
forte.
obviously, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for you, unless they're just having great games. I guess you can test test the waters, dip your toe in, see if they can actually get something done and rolling with it. Then, yeah, if it works out initially, then you can run with it until you get stopped. But I don't think they necessarily have the roster built for that kind of playstyle. Yeah, out of the get-go, at least.
Let's jump into predictions then. Do we think it's going to go all the way to 3 maps? What do we think? Map scores? Who's going to win it out?
It's very up in the air for me with Overpass, and I'm not the kind of guy who goes on a whim, really just simply because you can theorize that they might have done the work. So, going with what pretty much the facts in front of you, I have to side with HellRaisers for this, and I don't think we're going to see a third. I think it's going to be a 2-0. But I would love to be proven wrong here, really here in this instance, because it's always cool to see when a team just really dismantles their opponent in that sort of way. And it also means that we get to see Nuke as well, which we haven't seen so far. So that would be an added treat.
Yeah, very good point. Eric, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with 2-0 HellRaisers. I don't think Misfits had enough time to scout out their Overpass because, they just played their other match this morning.
Exactly.
So, I mean, how much prep work could they really have done on Overpass? So
Could this have been something they did prior to?
They could have gone the route,
I
I guess, of ignoring Binary Dragons and
I guess
only focusing on HellRaisers, but that seems a bit cocky compared, given the situation you're in. You're in an elimination match for a reason because you messed up previously, so don't take any opponent too lightly at that point, because if you mess up, you're out. And it's not like it was far away from actually going to a third map, being eliminated potentially for Misfits either, so.
It is definitely possible, though, because it's not like they play a ton of events, Misfits. So Sean definitely could have scouted out their other 2 opponents, skipping Binary.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and maybe working on just their own Overpass as well, potentially. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go for Misfits.
Just because?
No, not just because. Because of a lot of the stuff we just spoke about, I believe in Sean Gares. I believe he can come up with the goods. And also, if Shazam's on form, and Sick was playing Sick earlier, albeit against Binary Dragons, but he had a great game, I thought. Yep. So if they are all on form, I believe Misfits. I think we can jump into and chat to our casters. We've mixed it up again halfway through the day. It's a good sign. Scrawny and Launders, hello.
Hi. Hello, James.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling quite fantastic. How about yourself?
That's nice. Yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling fresh. It's great. Halfway through the day.
That's how it should be.
James always just sounds like he's in the middle of the desert with his last canteen of water.
Desperation mode.
Great. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll take it as a compliment.
That's good. It's very charming.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, who are you going to side with? The 2 people, analysts who know loads about Counter-Strike, or me?
You're selling yourself really well here.
I think at the very least I'll give Misfits 1 map, but I think it'll be 2-1.
Yeah, I'll give them a little bit of a chance, but a chance in the sense that the scores might be close. I can't help but feel like HellRaisers have this one.
Okay, well, fair enough. I'm over here on my own in the desert with my cantina, chanting for Misfits. I believe the game's ready, so let's jump straight in. We've got a lot of Counter-Strike to watch, so go ahead, guys. Take it away.
Thank you, James. That's right, Launders. We're back. We're ready. Yeah. And this map as well is about to begin. So HellRaisers, Misfits, to start things off on Overpass, is there anything that really kind of you want to highlight or allude to prior to this one going live?
I think there's a lot of freedom on this map for operas, and I think Shazam is as a very aggressive opera is going to be able to take advantage of that. I think he also was playing very well last time we saw him. My only concern about this match specifically was watching Misfits versus Binary Dragons, because I think that game was a little bit closer than it should have been, and then when you're moving up a tier and facing a team like HellRaisers, I would assume that HellRaisers are going to do everything that Binary Dragons did, but just a little bit better. There also might have been a stylistic thing where Binary Dragons actually played the rounds out like very slowly most of the time, and sometimes when you're playing an opponent that you aren't very familiar with, if they slow play you, it can be very frustrating. So I can see how that might have been a problem. Typically, you go into a match, you expect a team that's not very good to throw a couple of Hail Mary rushes at you, and those are free rounds because they're used to that kind of pressure. But if a team is a little bit more methodical, requires some demo watching, and maybe there's not a lot of game tape for a man like Sean Gares who would take advantage of that to go off of binary, could have thrown him a curveball in that sense. But yeah, so I do think maybe those two things counterbalance each other, and that and that Sean might be more comfortable playing a team like HellRaisers, who they know a lot more about. But at the same time, it's a step up in skill and teamwork.
I mean, you mentioned his name, Sean Gares, of course, once upon a time revered as one of the best in-game leaders of North America. Despite him now changing camps and having this time with Misfits, his inclusion, again, his choice to bring in both Devaduvic and Emanek from France. Yeah. Where do you stand on him? Do you have any kind of a personal opinion?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we were just talking about in the green room how there's like this re-emergence of IGLs who aren't the best individually, and how we just see Big as well as Gambit, make quarters and semis of a major. That's fantastic. Or just finals in Gambit's case, and that's with Zeus and God B, who are two of those people. But we're already into the pistol round, so I'm gonna let you take it from here.
Sounds good. Big old flashbang. Zero gonna have to just fall back as now a second flash does pop, and we see Misfits start to filter their way out through Monster. That bomb in sight. And as well as a player over towards short side. That's going to be Devaduvic fully flashed, trying to fight back, but Bondic gets the best of him as the bomb's most certainly planted. Emanek going to be on the other side of the water. He's got teammates falling back towards Monster, just trying to find real estate to play off of. Sick, dueling back, both players down. That's Dead Fox and Angel and Zero as well. A clean sweep of the B bomb site, swept under the rug. Yeah, and you see there wasn't a lot of presence in the B site specifically, but again, with short control, something that we saw with Godsent yesterday, how important it is and how viable it is to not only perform retakes from, but assist rotates in from stairs with. So the fact that they were able to maintain it shows how very much in the round they were, and how quick that retake came out. They weren't very far away from the bomb site, even though they weren't in it. Now we move into the second round. I don't know if a buy is going to come out. Misfits did get a plant, so your typical strategy on this round is maybe get some P250s because they're so much better than Glocks, and then think about Armor AK in the third. See, now, personally, I always kind of try to advocate for when you don't get this bomb plant, you're not going to go into the full Kevlar. I like to see an array of pistols. 2 Deagles, 2 Tech 9s, and a P250 with a smoke flash. We get that one P250, we get the one Deagle. Do you think there's a significant difference or an even noteworthy difference between those pistols? I think if are you talking about like the damage dealt? So like, to me, it's like you have a scout and a pistol. You got like a scout, you can tag him, and a pistol to take him down. To me, it's a matter of the options that things open, right? If you have a Deagle, you're going to want to be playing from a distance. You're going to want to try to pluck a man off the back lines. If you have the Tech 9, you're able to really then just gun players down when you decide to finally charge forward. And the P250 allows for the utility, which helps in execution. So I think that particular buy opens up a lot of windows of opportunity. It lets you play into different styles that can all emerge on the fly. Yeah, I definitely want to touch on that, but we've got the eco strat towards A. Yeah, already coming in from bathrooms here. Dead Fox, he's going to have to fall back. Misfits, they've gotten themselves close to the bomb site, and they're trying to get in, but Dead Fox holds the line with 2 quick kills. There's Sean with 1, Dead Fox the 3rd, and now it's just going to be the little cleanup here from HellRaisers. So, again, Misfits able to afford themselves some real estate, but not much more than that. Yeah, there was a severe lack of explosiveness on that, as we saw from the angle at long. It was just one player at a time. Easy kills as they came into the site, and it was kind of like one player got the confidence, like, oh, I have just skirted this guy at truck, so now I can move into the site. Everybody was kind of going through that process, when I think it needs to be more of like a oneness mentality where we all go in and some of us are going to die, but we need to go and try to get this plant. We also need to close the distance, which they didn't really do. But to your point earlier about the variation of pistols, it was nice. I think the only difference is there, if they had upgraded to Tech 9s or got any more Deagles, it takes directly out of their utility for this round. So that might be the only reason why they didn't. Very fair. That utility, of course, already quite low. Triple flashbangs, all they have to play with. How does that hinder you as a T side on Overpass, not having smokes or anything other than this? Somewhat. I think the fact that Dead Fox is opping is going to be a big problem for Misfits. I don't think you would always expect to see the op come out this early from the team that wins, but especially considering they know that Misfits won't be able to afford one themselves. But that being said, as long as he ends up proceeding to the site and they get that information, every time they bait out a shot, it's really on Dead Fox to either choose to re-peek, which is always a bad idea, or fall back, which allows you to gain some map control. So unfortunately, it cost a life to do that, but he is now sitting here watching long and short with help from Bondic at long. Yeah, that's a crucial kill. Again, Dead Fox just going to hold the same spot, and he's able to find one. Devaduvic Gonna try and swing things back to the favor of Misfits. They have found that bomb site for the taking, but already the man coming in from bathrooms could hinder this plant. No, Bondic's gonna let it shine through, but is then going to quickly get the kill, leaving it all on the shoulders of Sick. He's got himself that AWP, but the shot goes wide. He's down to 2 HP, legs the man in the sky, but that's HellRaisers with a clean 3-0 start.
Yeah, and I guess that's where you see the utility be kind of a problem. If your default works out really well, say you one-tap that Opper and it's 5v4, then you can apply pressure without having utility. You might even pick some up on the way from the dead bodies, but with that situation where the op doesn't have to work his way around smokes and does have a lot of free shots like this, it's gonna be his playground. It's gonna be a lot easier for him. So they retain it, they recycle it. Misfits back on a half buy, and this is always good to do. Not enough money to buy, but too much money to justify saving completely. Situation that Misfits are in right now. They also have more utility than they had last round, surprisingly enough.
We've got Bondic and Dead Fox with double the amount of frags as every other player in the server combined. Hell of a start for these two players already. Stiko with a frag grenade is able to destroy Sick and find that 4v3. Of course, Misfits with just these Tech 9s, they're gonna start to throw out what remains of their nades as Zero will respond with a smoke of his own. He's gonna start to spot the targets as they filter in, calls for a little bit of help and tries to find the duel, drops the bomb, and there we have it. Great hold from HellRaisers as they continue this lead.
A lot of smokes that are thrown for B-side are thrown from short, and so even on an eco round, it's important and usually necessary for a team to try to gain that short control really quickly. And it's not any less difficult with Tech 9s. In fact, it helps you beat things like the Molotov with that extra move speed that you get running out of short tunnels. But that Molotov came out extremely quickly, and they had a player pushing out the short, so it made their strategy a lot more difficult. And I think they had to make a readjustment that they weren't prepared to do by running out long with those 3 remaining players.
We've seen aggression here from Dead Fox at the beginning of rounds already. We'll try it once more, but the flashbang's paying off for now. Dead Fox still pressured up close, trades back onto Sick after he is able to find that opening kill. And HellRaisers will still maintain a bit of middle presence, at least until I mention it and they start to fall back. So Dead Fox reposted up on an angle. Shazam about to possibly walk right in. Needs to be cautious here not to throw away his life. Misfits in a decent spot currently.
We have a readjustment from the terrorists as we see them congregating towards B. With the bomb and 3 players, they also have a player in stairs, which is going to control the rotations into the site. So if they trade out favorably on the site, that means that either the site will be empty and there will be 1 player planning with store control, or they don't and the round fails. But if they do get in the bomb down, this man in stairs can just simply win the round by having such an advantage on people coming down.
So there's going to be a lot of pressure for Zero to have to deal with. Spots the shoulder, but there he goes. Amanek with the entry. So, Stiko, what can you do, sir? 4 players already coming in. They've given up that connector control, but the CT's yet to rotate over as Stiko holds the line, at least for a moment, until Devo Duvik is able to clear him out. And that's still damage dealt. Bondic quick on the flank, already finding 1. The frag grenade goes out, and it's not going to do anything at this point, so we still find ourselves in the 2v2. But Devaduvic trying to further the fight, able to drop the op of Dead Fox and convince Bondic to start reeling backwards. Damage further done. He sits only on 1, but that's enough, as he's got Shazam to play with as well. Bondic repositioning, coming in from Monster and trying to charge the site. Shots fired, so he's spotted and he takes the kill. That's Shazam done with, and a Molotov to block things off, but it's not gonna convince him back. The flick does connect, and HellRaisers find 5. What a clutch from Bondic.
Yeah, absolutely masterfully played. He doesn't even realize how much damage he did through the wall that helped him in that 1v1 situation, but as far as he's concerned, he got all the kills. So that's the biggest point of the round here. And here we have him coming off of short, which is the thing that I was just talking about. Now, when they entered the site, I think the deal breaker was that our man in stairs decided he needed to come help because the first kill went the way of the CTs, meaning that, okay, we need to make sure we get the site now as opposed to think about our after plan situation. But because of that, Bondic comes downstairs, gets a 3K and wins the round. Little did they know, they weren't going to lose more players than that. The next 2 would die, and they would have had an easy time stopping rotations if they had just committed to that hold. 5-0 now for HellRaisers. Misfits, fair bit of utility, though, on this round. Doing a good job of getting plants, which is critically important. Don't have anybody over at B, even though they've got this default going on. And by how slow they're moving, I wonder why they are forfeiting this side of the map. Maybe it's because they have at least a stairs man to know that he can at least listen for a door opening.
Starting to see a bit more of a further forward stance on that B bomb site. That's going to be Dead Fox posted with the ob. So he's actually changed up position, and this is going to give him a lot of information for now. Not spotting anyone as Misfits continue to creep their way in. But with the double man stack on long and that opening frag, they must be aware that the bathrooms push is here. Sean Gares as well, gonna get spotted out. So Stiko's calling for reinforcements. He attempts to hold things back, but Sick takes him out. And that's then the 4v4, turned back to the favor of HellRaisers very quickly as Angel takes another, but the bomb plant has been found. A silver lining for Amanek as he starts to burn alive. He extinguishes the flames, and he starts to try and play off of this. Again, Sean anchoring over towards bathrooms, but time is ticking quickly, so the CTs start to filter in, and Dead Fox up close with that op will blast him away. So Sean in a clutch with targets aplenty, but the defuse is here. HellRaisers find 6. There was nothing he could do.
Yeah, I really didn't like the strategy on that round from Misfits just because they all funneled themselves through bathrooms, and I think a huge thing about CT side on Overpass is concaves, and being able to hold from long if people are coming up, or on B, hold from short if people are coming out long. So in this situation, they did a great job holding long. Devo Duvek didn't get a kill because there were 2 players waiting for him. And then once that happened with long control, it made it super difficult for terrorists to get anything going with bathrooms, with the risk of getting flanked, with the risk of players coming in, and then ultimately the man advantage biting them in the ass. But I would much prefer to see a team fight for long first, because usually long is wide open, or you get your kills there, and then move towards bathrooms, down bathrooms, and then up towards A, maintaining long control the entire time, so that way your after plan is much more secure. It's really difficult to plant even on front site if you don't have long control. You run the risk of people being able to peek it.
And the risk of course, being flanked back from bathrooms if the CTs want to go for that longer con and you know, rotate their players up from B. So
exactly,
very tough spot to be in if you're Misfits.
Yeah, there's a similar thing that happens on Cobble where people like to rush lower A, and they come 5 through the door and they come up the ramp, and very often CTs will hold from long, especially if you only have a solo player. He always holds long, and now that player, once everybody comes up the ramp, is able to fall back just a little bit and see all of the terrorists crossing into the site, right? So that's what you forfeit when you forfeit long on both Overpass and Cobble at A. I think that's something that they should have considered. Like when Godsent didn't play their best, but when they were taking B and they would always fight for a short control, they would send their short guy up first as opposed to later on and just hope he lived. I think making sure that you maintain that control as opposed to hope it comes to you later on is a very critical note.
Taking a bit of a gamble, really, if you're just not, you know, going through those steps. But then again, we saw, I think, a much faster round from Misfits in that one, right? They try to creep their way through bathrooms. They see that opening to go in on it, and they're willing to make the gamble over with that, not having long control. But I think that's just an argument of just map control in general. So it hurts Misfits, who have currently taken that tactical timeout. But that timeout comes to a close, and the 7th round begins. HellRaisers with a full buy, Misfits the same. But the only op here is that of Dead Fox.
Yeah, and he's been quite good with it. Going for that stairs peek, standing in the Molotov, pushing out. Wow, that was extremely aggressive. I'm not sure that was a justifiable thing to do. He could have fallen back very easily.
Yeah, we'll see if HellRaisers can reel this one back in. Looks like they want to push into short. We're going to have 3 players over towards B, 2 of which coming in off of the flash, but unable to spot targets just yet. Until there we have it. Angel finding both, able to trade back onto Shazam. So sure enough, at least the 3v3, while there is that slight health advantage in the hands of Misfits. What do they do from here?
Yeah, so we saw that HellRaisers made their bet, having Dead Fox push out, lose an op, lose that 5v4, and barely get any information. Oh, we know it's one person's upstairs. That doesn't do much for us. Well, since they made their bet, they had to go out and push short B by themselves, or just late, after control had been taken. Managed to get into a 3v3. That's kind of a best case scenario. Angel's a little worse for wear, but now Misfits are severely down in numbers and have to group up, and it looks like they're going to go for a late long play. Bondic pushing up, and oh my gosh, seems like they're going to be pretty prepared for this. He's going to get in position just in time. Oh, he's actually falling back.
Now he needs to tuck tail, and that tail is ripped clean off. Amanek catches him by his toe. And so Misfits are on the go into the A-bomb site. Angel rotating backwards. He also caught out, so Zero's all that's remaining, and Misfits have found themselves the round. That's the first on the board, and with 3 players still up, it's decent.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think it's kind of weird. There's a thing about decisiveness that needs to be noted here. Like Bondic walking halfway up long, which is just it's so far away from the next angle that if he's going to commit that hard to it, he should probably stay there. Like he went 70% of the way, which was like a 6 or 7 second walk, not knowing where Mitzvahs was. I'm not sure what the call was that possessed him to go back into the site, but he would have obviously been better off staying there. And further, if they decided to approach A from any other way, him being there at long would have been just fine. So maybe it was that Angel pushed the bathrooms and didn't see anyone.
Duvik dives.
I don't know exactly how that happened.
The bomb exploded.
Yeah. He walked.
So, no 3 AKs, only 2. But I was going to say, there's actually been quite a few bomb plants here for Misfits in these rounds, the majority of them actually. Obviously that most recent one with the death of Duvik, but at the same time 4 of the other 6. So they have been finding success to this T side. Now they've got this round on the board. It allows for them to come back in with a big buy and Shazam on the op.
We haven't seen this quite yet. Sam just holding this long angle on anyone to peek him. No one's come out quite yet, and he hasn't made a move either. And we got kind of see you always want to follow the position of bomb to figure out what is in the mind of the IGL as to in terms of what they want to do out of spawn. And now he's just set up watching the flank. I guess he'll just play very passively here as the rifles have much more mobility.
Already, Stiko gonna get pushed back as he loses Zero. It's gonna be the T side traded at least by 1 as Angel swings out. He's able to find further success, and it's HellRaisers across the kill feed. There's Shazam swept under the rug, and Deviduvik's all that's left. Sectioned off by smokes and left all alone.
Another round where they decided to pick a site out of spawn as opposed to go for map control into an execute, because I think they were worried about having to, or losing duels in the process and want to fall back on full executions, which is always a good idea, especially if you feel like individually you guys aren't everyone's not picking up their slack, and that putting too much emphasis on one player is never a good idea in that situation. And I think that's like a tenet of Sean Garrett's strategy is 5 fingers on one hand as opposed to just everybody being an individual star.
So that 1 Catalyst AWP in the hands of Shazam. Everybody else going to be on those pistols. Little tidbits of utility here, but it's really going to be up to Shaz to pop things wide open, and Dead Fox already hunts for the angle. We saw him get aggressive. He was convinced further back. He's got Bondic to help him out as he posts up yet once more.
Here we have a pull-to-pin setup where Bondic is going to toss this smoke in if their Dead Fox takes a shot, giving him a way to fall back. No one can come wide on that angle and kill him as he's falling off into sight. And once again, Misfits forfeiting side of B, a player jumping Amanek going down the stairs and taking some damage for his troubles. They do have some info because of this, though. They know the op is at A. The only issue is that the CT rotate is so short from A to heaven at B that it doesn't do a lot for them. Bondic, though, steadfast behind the smoke. He's now finally falling back. Oh.
That was an opportunity for Shazam. And it goes wide as Bondic now just filters players down. The bomb's been dropped, and Amanek is all that remains. So there was a moment there where we could have seen Misfits able to find a 5 versus 4, able to then just barrage their way into the A-bomb site.
Yeah.
But critical shot is missed, and then Bondic steps up to play.
Yeah, so it started with a lot of defuses. We have 4 out of the last 9 rounds be defuses, which is good for the economy of Misfits, who now, after losing those 2 rounds, are just on a complete save. But I think the main problem when I'm seeing is that Misfits, it's hard to tell what they're looking for before they execute, and why it is that they're failing before they're able to get their smokes out and rush the site. This is the 2nd or 3rd time where they've picked the site out of spawn, gotten some free map control, but were unable to simply get all players rushing in.
Nice to see, of course, Misfits at least coming in with an idea, though, right? But I do see what you're talking about when it comes to just like a specific application of that setup. This setup features players towards B, very passively back at that. Hoping, of course, for HellRaisers to go for the flank, because we see 2 players over towards spawn just watching with the bomb. But there is no over-aggression from HellRaisers. They've tried to peek and ponder over towards the bathrooms.
I think we've seen HellRaisers get aggressive versus Ecos, and so there might be a little bit of hope for Misfits who assume that this might be a round where someone will push. Instead, we have Angel in a pretty safe angle, fighting short and getting 2 kills. And that are those are the 2 big pistols down.
Nice, he's not even going to fall back.
Yeah, no problem, no need, lots of health left. And the round goes their way cleanly, so.
It's a very convincing game from HellRaisers thus far. Of course, it's that 8-point lead. At least the silver lining, we've got Misfits back on guns.
Yeah, and the reason that they didn't spend any money whatsoever is we can see that with all of them buying down to 0 and 5 of them having smokes, that wouldn't have been possible if they had all upgraded past their P250s or any upgraded pistols.
What's scary to note at this point is I alluded to the success of bomb plants early on. Ever since they got reset, there's been nothing. Just 3 clean rounds from the HellRaisers.
Indeed, and that's done so much for their economy. You know, they're sitting on almost like 45,000. That's crazy. So there is a difference between 9-1 where a team is winning rounds, but they're all close, and the other team is always one within a save, which is a great place to be. And then a game like this where it's, you know, Misfits have a round, and it seems like they are somewhat prepared for Overpass, but at the same time aren't getting the kills in those rounds to make it any easier if they are able to win. So going to constantly be in danger of getting reset, even if they do win a round. And we haven't seen a sustainable way from them to pull 2 rounds together.
Cheeky little angle here from Bondic. He has been quite aggressive, actually, on this bathroom stance, time and time again. Normally, he has that op of Dead Fox over his shoulder, and he will yet once more, but it's going to be the execution coming in from Misfits, attempting to just puncture their way over. Bondic reapplying pressure with a Molotov of his own, and it's going to be Sean Garris to get that opening duel and the opening pick for Misfits. But 25 seconds on the clock doesn't leave them with much room, so they need to get going, and they just go straight into the crosshair of Dead Fox, able to dwindle down the offense with a second one through the wall. Finally, Shazam clears him out, and Sickle get the next. It's all on 0 now, and he's nowhere to be found.
Pulling off a similar strategy there, getting long control, but then actually retaining it this time, not losing their player that early on. I think their way of dealing it with this time was, instead of having him push up early on to see if they could get it, they sent him super late and decided to hold bathrooms until he knew that it was fully well cleared, and that put Dead Fox in an awkward spot where he couldn't fall off to long, and even from that position was able to get 2 kills. So that's a good sign for Misfits, and I think they felt like what they did had potential. They stuck with it. It ended up paying off.
Do you think they should stick to it moving forward? Just keep going to this A site?
I think that's the biggest problem for them, is that you always want to do what just worked, but then you're also fully well aware that the other team is going to be more prepared for that than anything else in the following rounds. So I think the key is, in situations like this, when you need to get that next round, is to, at the end of the round, pull off the same strategy, but in the beginning and midst of the round, make it seem as if you're going to do something else. Juggling rotations is super easy on Overpass, and because that rotation is so short, which is a benefit to the CTs, they're very happy to do it. So you can easily pull someone into a rotator spot like CT or a bank, and then smoke them out if you're quick enough on your execute, and you haven't let them know exactly what you're going to do.
Look at this super aggressive play here from Angel. He's just going to post up behind the fountain, gives him a nice chunk of cover. Not to mention the op of Dead Fox holding on the cross. So Shazam has to be extra cautious here and now. Angel, though, he pulls the trigger. He'll take 2. Big play from him already. Trying to hard reset Misfits yet once more. There's Dead Fox finding further success. And Devaduvic at least finding a response with 1 kill. Angel still pinned in this position, wants to fight it out, but now he's fully flashed, and he's still not cowering back. He's just going to force these fights, drop the bomb, and leave Amanek 1v4. He spots the target as that smoke dissipates. But unfortunately for Misfits, their chances dissipate as well. That's going to be, again, a tough reset to chew on.
Yeah, that's really tough. I mean, they didn't get anything going in that round. They didn't get any map control, no bathrooms, no short B, nothing like that. And Angel just sat here with no utility and won based on his mechanical skill alone, taking these 1v1 duels, even forcing a third here when he didn't even need to. There wasn't a really good spot for him to fall back on, but that just means that Misfits should have got that kill.
It's one of those very committed positions that I feel like I haven't seen all too often. It's not groundbreaking, but at the same time, it's still the one-off. It clearly catches Misfits off guard.
Yeah.
And with Dead Fox being there as well, it's not just, an individual play. It is a nice little setup they had rolling, as is, again, this bathroom hold from Bondic. Big 3K, 2, excuse me. Dead Fox will chime in, but Bondic finds further success, and it's a full house for the two of them.
Yeah.
3 and 2 kills apiece, and the entirety of Misfits dealt with yet again.
Yeah, super nice. And yeah, not much to say about that round. Decided to go stairs to try to find a new way into A because they were worried about people pushing up and fighting them at bathrooms. But again, yeah, Angel from that position have found it's a precarious spot, especially if you're spotted or people know that you're there. The reason it works so well is because, number one, you have a piece of cover that you can peek on the right and left side on, which is really important. The problem with it is that it's out in the open, but you're always offered up that first kill because people won't typically clear it. So, critical component of that.
This time they're going to double down into connectors, so poor old Devaduvic dealt with already. Dead Fox is going to be playing alone at this point, but it is still just versus pistols. Not going to feel much of a threat as now the reinforcements will arrive. T-side trying to train in on this push, but it's Angel with the AK to take 2. Dead Fox finds another. Amanek yet again just levitating over towards the B site.
Yeah, kind of unclear what his job was. I think a lot of these rounds, especially on the ecos, it seems like their goal is to simply find ways to get kills as opposed to try to get the bomb plants or try to win the round. Ideally, that would be the best thing to do, but I think that Sean maybe recognizes that a big problem for them right now is that even if they do win a round, there hasn't been enough economic damage to feel comfortable moving into that second gun round that'll save you from getting reset.
So, 15th round, what do Misfits do? Any kind of a desperate play that you'd like to see them throw the way of HellRaisers?
Well, a couple of years ago, you could just press F10, your game would close, but now you have to press F10 enter.
Once again, they're going for connector. HellRaisers, they've been very dynamic in their setups towards bathrooms, but keeping Misfits guessing, and yet once more, they're able to find these opening bits of success with Bondic finding more. It is the quick headshot to Shazam, leaving only Sean standing, but the op shot goes a little wide. And while he's got bomb on sight, Stico takes his head. HellRaisers with one hell of a half.
Yeah, my goodness. And I am a little bit worried about calling it too soon because we did see Renegades pull out the 16-14 versus them yesterday on Mirage after it seemed like HellRaisers really had their stuff together. That being said, I mean, everything is going their way. Like, the trades are on point. Wow. We've got about 25 kills in total for Misfits, which I guess 25 as a number alone is kind of a high number, but the highest amount of kills anyone has is Sick with 5. So, yeah, that is a rough spot to be in.
Crazier to think, of course, that this was the map pick of Misfits. So that's going to leave you with a bad taste in your mouth.
And that does explain how they are getting set up for executes, but then dying before they're even able to get bomb plants on full gun rounds because they're straight up not getting any entries whatsoever. And ultimately, strategy does so much. You really need to hit shots to open up sites. Sometimes rounds don't come down to 1 kill, but they're not getting any. 3 rounds to seal this up and move into map 2. Misfits looking worse for wear. Confidence probably at an all-time low. A pistol can really turn that around, but we're in an era of CSGO where maps aren't as decided as they used to be. I remember a time where 13-2 on Overpass wasn't all that surprising, but now you can't expect to come back from this based on the map advantages alone.
Could say the same of Cobble once upon a time. Could say the same of Nuke.
Nuke, Train,
Inferno.
Inferno especially.
Yeah. The second map in this series, of course, the choice of HellRaisers. So that's what's up next in this BO3 decider match. That's right, elimination on the line. Misfits feeling the pressure, but also just feeling out towards bathrooms currently, keeping one player lingering upwards as Angel clears corners. Stico does the same, making sure, of course, that Misfits haven't gone for some kind of an audacious push.
Indeed. Angel here just making sure that nobody's pushing stairs. Again, this round is all about pushing the USVs back as if they were ops. on rifle rounds, where they want to fight at long angles, but it's easy to get them to go back to the site if you find a way to swarm them. This is even better. Shazam just goes down in the bathrooms. HellRaisers making up ground. With 45 seconds remaining, have a lot of options here, 5v4, barely any damage, and Stiko still has the smoke flash.
So much map control already. We've got Bondic just skewering into the bomb site, holding the man on prime, gushing him up. Sick and Amanek combined for 11 health, but Bondic will drop 2. However, the Frenchman with a breath of life. Despite being on low health themselves, Bondic continues this lurk, and Amanek's gonna pop his head for it. So, a 2-on-2 ensues. And we have Misfits in an interesting position. Now, of course, with Amanek all alone, things go from bad to worse. And now they are done. Dead Fox able to grab that last kill, and HellRaisers on 14. So, of course, the momentum of the pistol could be the nail in the coffin versus Misfits. Then again, they've got a force buy.
You would want to assume, for the integrity of Counter-Strike, that this is the end of the end, but at the same time, we have seen the second round won many occasions versus in much more lopsided games. Teams of different tiers winning rounds like this.
Still no bomb plant since that initial reset on the T side, so Misfits really did kind of hit that brick wall, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, you're doubling the amount of buys that you have if you get a bomb plant every round, so that's a big deal. 14 rounds, 13 weren't made up of rifle rounds. They are made up of rounds in succession that have resulted in ecos and playing those advantages, rifles versus pistols. Misfits are spread out. They're spread out as, and you look at this minimap, they're postured as if they're on a buy round, which I don't like. I mean, I think the one thing that's okay about this on Overpass is that you don't have that like Mirage A to B rotation. You don't have that Inferno A to B rotation. You have the verticality we were talking about with Overpass, where it's only a 3 to 4 second rotation back into the site. But they are kind of pushed up the extremities of both sites, meaning that the rotations aren't going to be that easy. So would like to see them kind of band together, considering they don't have the appropriate guns to really just win each duel individually.
Of course, with that scout on the A site, a single smoke could section him off. I believe Stiko heard the footsteps of Sean Gares over on long. This has convinced him to start pushing through bathrooms, but now Amanek going to try to pepper them back, and he pops the noggin of Stiko as Sean will find Angels. So we've got Misfits in a prime spot here, still going to remain competitive as they've got that man advantage. Shaz just calling for help over towards this B site. Amanek sees the chucking of weaponry and now gets a chance at finding another frag, but it's Sean and Shaz to combine for those two, and Misfits with a fighting chance.
Yeah, they made it work. They did win those individual duels, and even though they were spread out, I guess the problem for HellRaisers is that they were equally spread out. So here I am eating my words. Misfits with the pistols and scouts, all combining getting kills. I think Six was the only player who got a kill. So everyone really pitched in there.
I can't help but feel like that flank from Sean Gares was just perfectly timed, because not only does it allow for him to kind of curb the terrorists towards bathrooms, which puts them right into the crosshair of Amanek, but he's also then able to quickly flank through connector, which skewers the bomb site and gets him to find that cleanup kill. So nice play by Sean. Again, not always maybe the most
mechanically
quantity
gifted
of frags,
okay.
but the impact of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Positioning a huge factor. Now here it is, short control being taken.
Yeah, after the grenade, but it's the smoke to follow suit as the flashes and smoke start raining over. Sick and Devaduvic going to survive the initial test. Stiko also dealt with quite quickly as that bomb never even comes close to the bomb site. That was a very convincing hold.
Yeah, great hold, no bomb plant, 5 alive. Everybody's going to be able to recycle these guns. They know that there's another save incoming, because I think that HellRaisers decided to force up, as they should have. And that means that Misfits will be able to funnel a lot more of these kills into their SMGs to give themselves the most money possible. Solid round. See more of those. And obviously a great hold from Sick. Whoa. Ooh. Whoa. Just 100 damage body shot. Wow. Don't see that every day.
Solid kill within the range of lethality, but speaking of lethal, here comes Zero. Catches the headshot onto Amanek. Now Shazam's going to be tested, and he fails as Zero is able to catch the headshot. Sean up next as the flank is in position. Sick, ready to strike, but it's spotted. Or no, they just jump by. They offer themselves, and he's going to take this bait. is going to start to chase. Able to find a duel, damage dealt, and a frag found. Zero hits the ground, but that's the bomb now to double back through the playground. Angel pinched by Sean Gares, who reapplies some pressure. Sick continues this fight here. Very much curbing the options of HellRaisers and curbing their health as well. That's Dead Fox down to 10.
Absolutely. Look at him being so annoying, using his cover, repositioning himself perfectly. He just played that so well, not shooting those first two guys instead. A lot of people would have been tempted, especially being down in numbers, seeing two players jump across like that, knowing that they could have gotten at least 40, 50 damage in, probably sealed up a kill for their team. Instead, played the patience game, went for the slow flank. Ends up working out beautifully.
Bondic should be done for. And he is. Nice little extra kill from Davidovic. A little bit of cash, 3 players up. Misfits now on 5.
Sometimes you can pan fire your steak, but sometimes you want that sous vide.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's cooking steak by water.
Exactly.
Very
takes a
fancy
little longer,
waters.
but takes a little longer, but sometimes the results are worth it.
I see that California has been refining your tastes.
Changing.
Double op setup on Misfits. Speaking of change, we'll see if they try to apply it aggressively or passively, because the rifles want to get a fight. That's going to be Amanek just charging over towards the playground already. That's lots of map control, but HellRaisers, they're content with reeling back. They could find a fight versus Sick, who smokes himself off, nullifying his op. How does that make you feel?
I think on this round, it makes sense. I love just avoiding ops on T side. Well, XQ's coming out actually right through the smoke.
Yeah, look at them go. That's already 2 frags for Misfits. Sick, damaged, and able to find another frag. Sean yet again arriving in the midst of the chaos. He has been able to find multiple frags, bailing his teammates out over on Fountain in the previous round, bailing out the B-site defense this time round, and it's Amanek to find the last. So here we go. Misfits, they're starting to make this look a little more doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Sick has been hella reliable. And I mean, he's gotten kills on both A and B. Surprisingly, holding out the op here. And it might have been off of a good spawn initially, but just turned into a great round for him to have it as they decided to execute on him. Long B is a really great place to go on almost any round if you can find the correct timing. It's a part of the map where you can rush together and explode with almost any pistol and very little utility, and you can put a lot of faith in entries as long as you are able to create, get your way out of monster into that pillar, which can sometimes be the beginning and the ending of the round.
And we saw Dead Fox playing this very same position with his AWP. We'll see if Shazam can apply himself. He's able to catch Bondic, who trades out over on long. Shazam still, again, just holding the cross, and that's where Sean's going to find 2 frags. Shazam falling back and going down, offering the op for Zero, who reapplies himself, catches a kill, but then he too toppled. So Misfits with another round, but at least HellRaisers with a bit of success.
Definitely. And again, it's the same thing that HellRaisers were doing to Misfits in the first half, where they Misfits are doing a great job of keeping enough players alive, and on that round, at least they got a couple of kills. But got startled there. I thought that Zero was going to hit the twofer and end up in a 1v1.
The old twofer, bud.
Out for a rip there, bud.
2-for-1 op yet once more.
Indeed.
Sick to reinvest.
Not so bad on CT side because, again, the main drawback is the lack of mobility, but as a CT, you're not going to move around so much. It also allows your rifles to take their leashes off and move about way more freely than they would if they had to leave a rifle in sight. So if you have like one person on B opping and 2 rifles, those 2 rifles can hightail it to A whenever they feel like it, knowing that the op is going to at least get 1 kill. It's probably going to be a safe spot. Might even get that multi-frag, almost certainly stay alive. Whereas if it's 1 rifle, you don't really want to leave that guy alone.
You just brought up, of course, the freedom of movement. Well, this round we see Sean Gares go for the connector peak first and foremost, all alone. And then because there's no presence there, because we see HellRaisers still very much passively in spawn, he just decides to exit towards the B site. Now, that's a lot of aggression and seeking of information, but he gets nothing for it. He just falls all the way back. So HellRaisers have done a good job of leaving Misfits guessing.
Yeah.
They took the risk, but they got nothing for it. Very passive setup here allows for HellRaisers to now move forward on their own terms with 40 seconds to still execute. They've got the grenades to do so, but they're going to have to just punch their way into this bomb site. We've seen them struggle thanks to this man here, Sick, who looks to play up close with this op. There's the opening frag, though. Goes the way of Stiko. Devaduvic with one. Bondic takes the trade, and now we're going to see Misfits tested as the man advantage is furthered here to the T side. They've taken all the kills, and HellRaisers take that 15th round.
Wow.
So they are 1 away from victory, and they've got 8 rounds in front of them.
Wow. That's a similar strategy to something Misfits wish they could have pulled off in the last half. HellRaisers were able to get away with it, and it was a key bit of movement that Bondic had, and it's hard to say if it was intentional or not, but the way he came out of long B made it so difficult for Sick to telegraph because he tried to shoot and it was way too early. And I think it was because Bondic kind of went forward at the same time as he went sideways, making that peak appear shorter than it seemed to Sick at the pillar. But he had a key position and was in a good spot to defend against the rush just like that.
Angel looking just aggressively pry into B. Able to set a couple flashes and a Molotov to boot. Here's going to be Sick, feeling the heat. Has to swing out, and that's where he goes down. This is HellRaisers with a very real opportunity to take this site, but Devaduvic wants to hold them with all his might. Stiko on low health. Bomb attempted to be planted, but Zero covers perfectly so. So it's Shazam and Amanek in a clutch opportunity. Stiko's holding connector, so the other 3 players can very much fixate on this bomb. Shazam needs to find some kind of an opening as he closes the distance at the very least, but utility is gone, as is Angel. Dead Fox responds, and Shazam, all that's left, picks up a frag, throws it wide, and there's the 2 kills. This could be Shazam with a hell of a clutch, but Zero gets his number, gets his head, and gets map 1 in the pockets of HellRaisers. They win their opponent's pick with a convincing 16-7, and they will be moving on to Inferno to try and close out this series.
Very strong performance, nice 1-0 for HellRaisers. Looked great throughout those rounds, and even though it seemed for a second like Misfits were about to find their footing and were crushing them and destroying their economy each and every round, ultimately, it only took them a few rounds to figure out exactly how to come up with that sustainable strategy, and it was that B hit that they figured out quite quickly.
Yeah,
7 rounds in.
Excellently done here by HellRaisers, able to close things out. So map 1 done and dusted. Map 2 coming up next. You guys are watching the DreamHack Astro Open coming at you live from Atlanta. We'll be back after a short word from our sponsors with map number 2.